Up your sleeve.
What a graphic expression. What does it mean?
You know exactly what it means. You're up to something.
Well, yes, you might put it that way.
And why didn't you let Inspector Lestrade in on it?
Well, I want to do a little investigation on my own first, and the good inspector mightn't approve of my methods.
I'm not sure that I shall either. If you think I'm going to become an accomplice in such... Now what are you doing?
We're going in.
Well, what were we going to do?
I'll show you when we get inside. And this is our records and personnel office. Here we keep all the records of all our employees. They're strictly confidential, of course, and may only be seen by... What's the meaning of this? Why, this paper basket is half full of... What's your name? Never mind. Take it outside and empty it. This is a hospital, not a college for the development of backward bacteria. And don't argue, and fetch a pail of water, and clean up the ink stains all over this floor. It's perfectly disgusting. What did you say your name was? No, don't tell me. I may remember it and dismiss you. Now, hurry up, quickly. Go on, go on.
Yes, sir.
Holmes, what do you think you're doing? What on earth?
Well, that's the quickest way of getting rid of her. I want to have a look at the records of Dr. Jonas.
Now, why do you want to have a look at the records of Dr. Jonas?
Trinidad.
Oh, we're back on Trinidad, eh?
Yes, I'm always in Trinidad. Wait a minute, Trinidad is the link. Now you must find the bond.
But Dr. Jonas told us he'd never lived in Trinidad.
He also told us he never sailed aboard the Gloria North. If he lied about that, he could also lie about Trinidad. But there was still the faint trace of an anchor with the initials GN, Gloria North. I believe that it's a fair assumption to assume that he sailed aboard the Gloria North with Mr. Faraday.
Well, now, that's sheer presumption, Holmes. GN could stand for some lady's name, Gertrude Nelson, or...
Here it is. I thought so. He was a ship's doctor for 5 years. And here's a letter of recommendation from the ship's chief officer, Howard Shackle.
Good heavens, and they were all members of the same crew.
Yes, Watson. Come on, quickly.
Where are we going?
Have another chat with Dr. Jones.
Holmes! Just like the others. Victim number 3.
That leaves one more to go.
What do you mean?
An able-bodied seaman, the ship's chief petty officer, the ship's doctor, and one more remains.
Who?
The captain, of course, the captain. Yes? Is Superintendent Pitt at home?
I'm terribly sorry, but I'm afraid Mr. Pitt isn't in at the moment. I was waiting for him myself.
Well, just tell him that Sherlock Holmes called.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, that's right.
I've heard a great deal about you, Mr. Holmes.
Really?
I've read a great deal about you in the newspapers, about your work with Scotland Yard. Rather, of course, it's being read to me. I should very much like to talk to you, Mr. Holmes. Well, if you have the time, of course.
Oh, yes. Yes, I have the time.
Won't you come in?
Thank you.
I was just helping myself to a drink. Perhaps you'd care to join me.
Yes, I should like to.
Whiskey?
Well, have you a brandy?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Tell me, Mr. Vickers, do you often stay here with Mr. Pitt?
No, not very often. May I ask why you wanted to see the captain? Or would that mean divulging some very important secret of Scotland Yard?
No, I don't believe it's a secret at all. I merely happen to believe that Captain Pitt will be the next victim of the mad killer who is at present terrorizing all London.
Captain Pitt?
Yes.
Why? What possible connection could there be between Captain Pitt and such a murderer, and such a maniac?
Do you believe that the killer could be such a maniac?
Well, what else could he be?
He might be seeking revenge.
Revenge for what?
For something that happened in the Gloria North.
Gloria North?
Yes, it's a ship, a cargo vessel. And every man that has been killed to date was once a member of the crew of the Gloria North on that fateful voyage 5 years ago.
Amazing, Mr. Holmes. How did you learn this?
Oh, it's very simple, really, Mr. Vickers. I happened to look it up in the records at Lloyd's shipping office.
I see. Why do you believe that Captain Pitt should be the next victim?
It's very simple again. Because Captain Pitt is the one surviving member of the crew at present living in London.
It's an extraordinary theory, Mr. Holmes. And have you any idea who this killer is?
Yes.
Who?
May I help myself to another brandy?
Yes. You said you believe you know who the murderer is.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's only a little theory of mine, but I believe I do.
And do you know the motive for murder?
You know, it's remarkable, Mr. Vickers, how well you managed to find your way about, for one who is blind.
I beg your pardon?
I mean, find your way about this room, Mr. Vickers.
Oh, yes. But it wasn't very easy for me at first. I have come to know this apartment very well. Well, not that I come here too often, but I have an excellent memory for such things. I have in my mind a picture of this room as clear as you have now.
I see. And what if the position of the furniture should be changed about?
Without my cane, I should be quite helpless. You were saying you had an idea who this killer is.
Yes. Picture, if you will, a man who lived in Trinidad. Emotional enough to murder, strong enough to use a knife, and able to use it with accuracy and dispatch.
Do you hope to find a man who fits such a description, Mr. Holmes?
I have, Mr. Vickers.
Really? Who? Who fits such a description, Mr. Holmes?
You're not blind, you know.
I beg your pardon?
When you went to fetch my drink just now, I moved from there to here, and you noticed it.
Oh, because you spoke.
You spoke first. Where did you hide the body, Mr. Vickers? In that cupboard over there?
Don't!
Yes?
You must listen to me. Captain Pitt and the crew of the Gloria North were not primarily concerned with the cargo, or the cargo as we usually think of it. They were smuggling natives from Trinidad into England. I was married to a native, Mr. Holmes. Beautiful woman. And we had a beautiful child. Pitt came to me and offered to take him to England. Price was £100, the ship the Gloria North. He guaranteed their safe arrival. I concluded the transaction. I paid the money. But 5 miles from Southampton, the Gloria North was approached by a patrol boat. Pitt became frightened. The natives were dragged overboard in chains. They were drowned. All the natives. And my wife. And my child. I swore then that I would take my revenge. It has taken me 5 years, Mr. Holmes. The men I killed deserve death.
Perhaps. But no man has the right to be judge and executioner.
I had. And I'm not finished yet, Mr. Holmes. There are others. And no one is going to stop me, not even you, Mr. Holmes.
Is more killing the answer?
It is my answer.
Before you strike, Mr. Vickers, look in the mirror.